Highlights of the news today, 16th of December. A Ugandan-born minister has been found guilty after performing 31 sham marriages. 3 former MPs are ordered to pay the legal costs of the court cases brought against them for the fiddling of parliamentary expenses. 13,500 British soldiers will be brought in to protect the 2012 Olympics. A report from the belly of the beast this week by British National Party leader Nick Griffin. The French President of France, Jacques Chirac, has been given a 2-year suspended sentence on corruption charges. UK News. A Ugandan-born minister has been found guilty after performing 31 sham marriages. Reverend John Magumba, who is of Ugandan origin, performed the sham marriages with illegal immigrant brides to men with EU passports so that they could stay in Britain. The investigation and prosecution of this Church of England reverend has cost the British taxpayer many thousands of pounds of public money. The so-called Reverend John Magumba has been granted bail for the 31 sham marriages. One British National Party spokesperson commented, "Emma West got put in jail for speaking her mind, and here is a Ugandan minister performing 31 sham marriages and getting bail." He was found guilty at Bolton Crown Court and will appear in January to be sentenced. 3 former MPs are ordered to pay the legal costs of the court cases brought against them for the fiddling of parliamentary expenses. The 3 little pigs in the trough are Eric Ilsley, who was ordered to pay over £12,000 prosecution costs, along with Elliot Morley over £23,000 and also David Chater also over £23,000. Then all 3 men were ordered to pay the legal costs, which were for all 3 in excess of over £33,000 in legal aid. 13,500 British soldiers will be brought in to protect the 2012 Olympics, sources have said. At least 5,000 of the troops will be serving with police, with specialists in bomb disposal experts and specially trained dogs. The main aim is to stop any left-wing anarchic groups provoking attacks like the ones who tried to use the race riots to start a civil war in Britain during the summer. The troops are also helping the civil authorities to protect them in an emergency. Euronews. In his report from the belly of the beast this week, British National Party leader Nick Griffin tells us that he has filmed 2 video diary pieces on David Cameron's non-existent veto, his thoughts on the Emma West case, and the latest on his personal efforts in our campaign for Real Christmas. Those will feature on the main party website over the next few days. Nick carries on to tell us that it's been a busy week in the animal welfare front. Firstly, it was announced that the Ukrainian government has announced that it is, with immediate effect, halting the destruction of stray dogs in the country's 4 main cities. Whilst Ukraine is a long way away, said Mr Griffin, the campaign to stop so many stray dogs being put down produced the biggest single postbag and email avalanche from constituents I've ever had as an MP. The campaign on this issue was brilliantly organised and involved several different animal welfare groups. The curious question is, why was so much effort put into an issue in Ukraine when, for example, the brutality of ritual slaughter here at home goes almost unnoticed? I think there are 2 answers. The first is that criticism of halal and kosher slaughter is deeply politically incorrect. In the case of Islam in particular, people are scared of the perceived physical danger of criticising this religion of peace. The second is that the government of Ukraine is one of the targets for the American imperialist-Zionist project for remaking the Middle East and Eastern Europe. Just as the so-called Arab Spring was organised and financed by CIA fronts and international bankers such as George Soros, so the same New World Order schemers are behind the so-called coloured revolutions attempted and encouraged against pro-Russian governments in places like Belarus and Ukraine, and of course in Russia itself. I met with several ministers in the Ukrainian government early last month, writes Mr Griffin, and told them that not only was the wholesale destruction of stray dogs wrong in itself from a moral and animal welfare point of view, but that it was also being used as a small but particularly emotive part of a far, far bigger campaign to discredit and demonise them and their country. I therefore advise them in the strongest possible terms to address the problem and improve Ukraine's treatment of dogs in particular and animals in general. With the news that not only have the killings stopped, but also that modern shelters are to be built and improved measures against cruelty to animals introduced as well, it seems that the message has got through. Back in Parliament itself, Nick also reports on the latest meeting of the Parliamentary Intergroup on Animal Welfare. Among other matters raised, there was the fact that Britain now has the best record in pig welfare in the whole of Europe, and is also one of the few countries to have introduced a complete ban on battery eggs in advance of the EU-wide ban at the start of next year. The downside to this is that British pork and egg farmers are now facing unfair competition from industrial-scale growers, often US-owned, in Eastern Europe, Holland and Denmark, who continue to flout the law with cruel and illegal practices such as permanent tethering of sows and the use of tiny battery cages for egg and meat production. Britain's farmers and all those animals need your help with this problem, Nick urges all of us. When out shopping, check where meat and eggs have come from. Buy British. It's the only way of being certain that you're buying food that has been grown more humanely than much of the slightly cheaper foreign stuff next to it. Especially in the case of outdoor reared pork. The flavour is usually much better, and in every case, because animals are in healthier and happier conditions, they are not dosed with such huge quantities of antibiotics, growth hormones and other chemicals. There's a very good chance that the food will be better for you as well. World news. The Canadian Minister for Foreign Affairs has asked for its Canadian citizens to leave the troubled country of Syria. The minister is to use voluntary evacuation methods for the Canadians in Syria over the coming days from a country that has been rocked by violence. The French President of France, Jacques Chirac, has been given a 2-year suspended sentence on corruption charges. The corruption has taken place during his time as Lord Mayor of Paris. It is not yet clear if the former President of France will appeal against his conviction. Mr Chirac, aged 79, has had health problems, therefore he did not attend his trial. To spread the real meaning of Christmas with your Christmas cards, let the British National Party help you. If you contact Nick Griffin on contact@nickgriffinmep.eu with your details, we will send you a small pack of traditional cards so that you can help spread the true message of Christmas and British National Party cheer to your family and your friends. You have been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozar, and I wish you all a very happy and safe weekend.